Mounce, BBG, chapter 21, sentence 9. Yeah, I'll admit this is a tougher sentence. So hang in there, guys. First thing is, let's just take it chunk by chunk. Recognize here's the end of your first sentence. So let's do that one and then come back. If you're looking through the sentence, you see Ho Jesus, you probably figure that's going to be your subject because of that definite article. And you've got a Kai at the beginning. So let's just say, and Jesus, right, as a subject. Then you got this, if you're looking kind of through the sentence, you see this prepositional phrase, but in English, you're going to pull prepositional phrases quite often to after the verb. So let's go straight to the verb and say, and Jesus. And then you look at this verb and you go, okay, what do I see? I see, hopefully you recognize the vocabulary word as peripateo. Peri is a prefix. And then you got this extra letter in there. So that's where your augment is. But what that still tells you is I'm still dealing with the present stem. So if I've got present stem plus an augment, I know I've got an imperfect. So present stem plus an augment equals the imperfect. I'll look at this ending and I say, third singular, so it lines up with Jesus as the subject. And then you've got then what you would do is you'd have these two prepositional phrases, and hopefully you recognize meta tauta is after these things, and you're going to translate this as these things because as a demonstrative it is neuter, and you want to tell the reader what gender we're talking about. So as a neuter plural, you're going to run with these things, and you're going to say after these things. And then, of course, in Galilee is easy enough, hopefully by now. So, and Jesus was walking, again, as an imperfect. Jesus was walking in Galilee after these things, period. So that's the end of your first sentence. Then you see this negation with the post-positive gar. You're going to take gar, throw it up to the front and say forward. And then if you did it word by word, not something in Judea to walk. Okay, so then you really got to, before you go any further, you really got to deal with this verb, right? So looking at the verb, hopefully you recognize this is coming from thelo. And coming from thelo is a want or wish, something like that. Then you've got your augment, and then you look at that and you say, okay, I got a present stem, I got an augment, and then I've got that epsilon nu ending. Hopefully by now you recognize epsilon nu can only be third singular, because otherwise it would have an omicron here if it were going to be first singular or third plural. Because I see an epsilon nu, I know it can only be third singular, in which case I tell myself, okay, I don't see any subject here. I know that Jesus was the subject of the prior sentence, so I'm going to build that into the verb and say, for he was not wishing, or he was not wanting, or he was not willing, any of those three that have to do with thelo. And then you've got this infinitive here, to walk. He was not willing to walk in Judea. Okay? So before we go on to the hati clause, let's run back here. For he was not wanting to walk, and then your prepositional phrase in Judea. So, and why was he not willing to walk in Judea? It was because, and then you got a verb. You look through the rest of the sentence and you say, well, here's my subject. So because the Jews, and then I've got my verb, and hopefully you recognize that as from zeteo, contract verb, tells you why you have this kind of weird ending, but then you also see an augment. So you say, okay, present tense stem, contract verb, plus augment, but it's present stem, so I'm dealing with an imperfect again. Just like I have throughout the rest of the sentence pretty much, but then from zeteo, you know your subject is a plural subject. So when I know that this can either be first singular or third plural, but I've got a plural subject, this must be third plural. And from zeteo, which is I seek, so it's the Jews were seeking. Were seeking. And what were they seeking to do? They were seeking to kill him. All right. So again, gonna have to do a little gymnastics on that one, I recognize. But even if you didn't do that right up front, because the Jews were seeking him to kill, all you've got to do is do a little flipping around, and that's easy enough to see in that particular instance that it's the Jews were seeking to kill him. So one more time. And Jesus was walking in Galilee after these things, for he was not willing or wanting or wishing to walk in Judea, because the Jews were seeking to kill him.